Welcome to another episode of Breaking Battlegrounds with yours, Chuck Morin. I'm Sam Stone. Our first guest up today, always love to have our guests in studio here in Phoenix. George Khalaf. He is the founder of the Resolute Group, First Day PR, and Data Orbital. That's a lot of founding, George.
A lot of founding.
And now he's running for the Arizona State House in LD3, which is the Scottsdale-ish area?
Yeah, Fountain Hills all the way up to Anthem, New River, and then everything in between, Rio Verde, Carefree, Carefree.
Well, so I'm going to jump in on some minutia. You're inheriting a major problem in that district if you win with Anthem, New River, and water.
Well, Anthem, New River, ironically, they're doing better than some other parts of the district. Cave Creek is the big one. I was at a council forum yesterday, and that was almost exclusively what they were talking about. But that entire region of the district is very anxious about what happens with the Colorado River negotiations. How do we responsibly grow? Anxious seeing across the 17 the big chip manufacturing plant and everything that's coming with it. And frankly, what I've learned, though, is folks just want answers and details. Like, they just want someone to be there in the community answering questions, and so that's a big deal for them.
So what made you're well known in politics here. You do some of the best polling in Arizona.
Thank you.
People ask me this question when I jumped into the Phoenix City Council race. What made you crazy enough to run?
Yeah. So, I mean, you all know, I got in this, like, yes, I'm a small business owner. You got to make money. You want to grow your business. But I'm a true believer in the issues that I care about, right? So I spent more time as a consultant saying no than I said yes in terms of projects. And so what I felt was that the legislature had lost and was going to lose many of the key voices on life, religious freedom, school choice, a lot of the things that I cared a lot about. And while we still had good votes and we had strong majorities, maybe stronger than ever, I like to say on the campaign trail, it's not just about being a good vote. We have to be able to articulate our positions well because we are in the fight of our lives on many of those issues. There's always conjecture and commentary about, is Arizona purple or not, and what direction are we headed? And because of my background, I had spent the last couple of years traveling the state, giving people my perspective on the types of candidates we should nominate, how they should speak, who we should be talking to. And I kind of was giving a stump speech about the future of the state without kind of thinking about it as a stump speech. And people were resonating with it. And then there was an opportunity in a great district that my wife and I have lived in and love. And so she ironically was the one that kind of finally pushed me over the edge because we've got 3 kids. Our youngest is 7 months old. So it's not like, life is hectic, but it seemed like it was the right time.
So what is the difference between consulting a candidate and actually being the candidate? What has changed your perspective on it now?
So I'll tell you first the funny, I've spent my career pushing back against clients and street signs and their concerns about street signs. And so the big difference is when you become a candidate, you are mad when you don't see your street sign up. So I will never...
Amen, man.
I will never yell at my clients again for a street sign. So that's a funny one. But sincerely, look, when you're behind the scenes, even though I did things out in front, I always did media and stuff.
Sure.
You have a different lens on you now when you're a candidate. Anything you do, whatever you say, who you support.
Are you more self-conscious then?
Yes, but also like anything I put out on social media is being watched, and I will immediately get a text or 5 asking me why I did that and why I supported and stay out of this and don't do that or do this.
So I am quite famous. I have candidates who call me who are just friends, and they're worried about something somebody said or something on social media. And I'm always like, just ignore it. Just ignore it. I'm sure now you used to have that advice as well.
Yeah.
Now you see something as a comment. Does your blood just boil and say, I got to comment on this?
That's somewhat. I have tried. I have mostly been disciplined on that. It's mostly like, people that, look, I'm a loyal guy, right? There's very few things we have in this industry beyond loyalty. And if we don't have loyalty, and so I'll stand up for someone who has been a longtime friend, and someone will be like, well, I don't like them. And it's like, okay, but I'm in the game of addition. Fun. I want everyone to support me and back me. So that's some of what I'm traversing. And you all know our neck of the woods has a disproportionate amount of activity, I'll call it that, at the local level. And so there's a lot of animated people. So
yeah, Scottsdale just seems to be a brush fire right now, from the city council races to this congressional race. We have a cease and desist letter out there now. I mean, I feel like I missed a real opportunity by not signing a contract for a reality show and just covering city council, legislature, and congressional race in Scottsdale this cycle.
There is a lot that's happening, but Fountain Hills is I mean, there's all kinds of dynamics in what usually is a sleepy little Fountain Hills.
And it's so small, they all know each other too, right?
That's the thing. It's very small town vibes and look, very, because it's a large district, very cohesive communities. So like Anthem does not interact hardly any with Fountain Hills unless they're going to each other's areas for some event. And so there's distinct issues and dynamics in each place. Look, as much as we joke, I mean, there's a lot that happens in Scottsdale in the whole city, but 60% of the city of Scottsdale is in Legislative District 3, and it is the conservative part of the city. So there's a lot of, there's a proportional
You're north. You're central and north, right?
Yeah, everything north of the 101.
You're not Old Town.
No.
You're
no Old
up
Town,
north,
no McCormick Ranch, and we all know the closer to the urban core that you are, the bluer it is.
What's the average household value in that area? Is that like 2.5, 3 million?
North, I mean, not in that entire area, but yeah, the more north that you get, you're talking, I was in Desert Highlands for an event, your multi-million-dollar homes, Desert Mountain, Troon, Silverleaf, those are all in the district.
So what's the most common concern people bring to you when you go to these meetings? As Sam was saying earlier, you got a community with a lot of professionals, a lot of retired people. They have time and they have strong opinions. Yeah. What is the most consistent concerns you hear from your constituents out there?
So water is being talked about a lot, especially in the Anthem, New River, Desert Foothills, kind of Cave Creek, Carefree area. People still do ask a lot about affordability, even if not for them, even if they have means, but for their kids and grandkids.
Right.
But frankly, the thing that I get asked a lot is, how do I know I can trust you? People have an immense disattachment with their elected officials today. And I talk a lot about my faith because it's important to me, but also because that's the answer to the question. How you can trust me is because of where my values come from, and people really appreciate. I've talked more about my faith and about that than I have maybe about specific issues.
But that's great, because we've had a lot of people running for governor, Congress, whatever in here, and they say that or accountability.
Yeah.
It's just there's complete distrust in every institution, and I think that is a very hard thing when you get elected to govern, because people are like, well, why should I trust you, George?
I think it's particularly hard for the legislature, and George will understand this in a way a lot of first-time candidates don't, because a lot of that distrust is coming from a bureaucracy that continues to soak up more and more money but deliver less results. And turning that around isn't something the legislature, any legislature, can wave a magic wand for. How do you start taking apart the bureaucratic state that just keeps growing and growing and growing?
Yeah. So part of what I found is the bare minimum. People want to be communicated to, right? So people want to be able to ask a question and get an answer, even if they don't love the answer. And even if you tell them, look, candidly, this is not something that we alone as a legislature can solve. They just want to know that they sat across from you and that you're accessible to them. And I'm noticing in many parts of the district that I mentioned that have the water concerns, they haven't spent a lot of time with their elected officials, maybe at the local level. But then beyond that, there's not a lot of people that come through. So that's a key one. How we do that is, look, good things happen at the legislature, but even those good things we don't communicate, and then things move exceptionally slowly. And then, and then when they do move slowly, we know that most of the folks in the media are not friends of the Republican cause, and so they're not necessarily talking about that. They're talking about the negative. So we have a real problem of our good things aren't even getting out there, let alone the fact that we need to really cut through the red tape, so to speak.
I want to zero on that, because you just hit on something Chuck and I have talked about all the time. I think two people that really stand out, Chuck, in this group of candidates for the legislature this year in Arizona are George Khalaf, because you understand messaging. You understand how to advertise a victory or to advertise why something should be opposed.
Correct.
And you know how to analyze the electorate in those issues and where you can move them. And that's kind of been missing the last few years. They haven't had that sort of insight, it seems like. There's people like you outside, but not on the bench. Yeah. And James Rogers, who is one of the best attorneys I've now ever met, works with America First Legal, having someone like him in there who, I love Alex Culloden, but he is so cerebral, he loses people halfway through a lot of times. James has that knowledge, but delivers in a more natural way.
Yeah. Look, we our party, the nation, for different reasons, depending on what party you are, we're still reeling from 2020. Whether it was COVID, whether it was the election, we came out of that with a large swath of our electorate feeling like the people in charge not just don't care about me, they look down upon me. Right. And then Donald Trump won in 24 because of a buildup and a culmination of that sentiment and all of the disaster that Joe Biden brought us. But now we have to deliver. And I tell people that all the time. Also part of the reason why I'm running, and people love to throw around the word vision. But the reason why I use that is because we can't just talk about all the things that we are opposed that the progressive left does. We have to talk about the things that we are in favor of. And that is something that has been missing. And that goes back to the communication, that goes back to communicating victories, and that goes back to when things are tough and you make a decision that some people don't like, you have to go out there, you got to speak on it, you got to take it maybe into the chin, and then we move on. That's part of the, hey, you asked earlier, your advice of just ignore it. Ignoring it is there's a way to do it appropriately where people feel like you heard them out, even if you're going to end up agreeing to disagree. People really appreciate being heard.
Right. We have 2 minutes left here. So I want to ask you, at the end of George Khalaf in his first term in office, what are 2 or 3 things you hope to accomplish?
Yeah. So one of the big ones is on K-12 education. Depending on what happens with these ballot measures on empowerment scholarship accounts, I want to ensure that our programs are stronger than ever, that we're giving more options to children, and that look, I want to be able to bring reforms to the public school world. I know that this has been attempted and there's been pushback on it. I think school board elections should be partisan. We're seeing that around the state. I don't really believe that humans can be nonpartisan because we're not operating that way, unfortunately, anymore.
They aren't.
Right? So that's a big one. Look, from an affordability perspective, there's a lot of good things that we have passed as the legislature that have gotten vetoed. So I'm confident we can elect a Republican governor. I'm happy to give my thoughts on that, and a Republican governor that will sign a lot of those affordability. That's not necessarily George Khalaf, but me as part of the caucus. I want to be able to bring actual, true results and reforms to individuals and to people on affordability. And finally, on water, look, I know a lot of our fate is in the hands of the Colorado River negotiations, but we as members have to compel and work, and even if it's not an actual vote, but lead the communities that water is a very tense issue, like Cave Creek, Carefree, Anthem, New River, and ensure that they feel confident in the future of their towns and in their communities, that they feel like they can responsibly grow, and that they feel like the legislature, they have an advocate for them down there that is willing to stand up and say, look, this is going to affect these areas more than these other areas. Let's talk about it, and that we bring them to the table to actually come to a solution. So those would be my 3 things.
Pretty good. We have just about 30 seconds here, so I don't want to throw you down the rabbit hole of another question. George Khalaf, we're going to be coming back with more from him here in just a moment. Folks, follow him on X at George_Khalaf. That's KHALAF. Breaking Battlegrounds will be back in a minute, but first, go to breakingbattlegrounds.vote, sign up for the podcast, get all that extra content. Every week we're bringing you great stuff. Breaking Battlegrounds, coming right back. Welcome back to Breaking Battlegrounds. We're continuing on with our interview with George Khalaf. He is a candidate for the Arizona State House running in LD3. Follow him on X at George_Khalaf. But first, a message from our sponsor.
Folks, did you know there's $45 billion in distressed or defaulted private student loans in the United States? Which means you probably know someone. If you have a family member or friend who's defaulting or close to defaulting on a private student loan, have them give a call to Y-Refi at 877-400-9989. They will design a custom loan payment that is based on your ability to pay, not what they think you should pay, but on your ability to pay. They're not a debt settlement company. They'll work with each borrower individually. They don't check a credit score, but they will reduce your monthly payment and guarantee an interest rate under 6%, ensuring financial relief and affordability. So go to yrefy.com or call 877-400-9989 and tell them Sam and Chuck sent you.
Hey, George, we have a big issue in Arizona brewing, right? Arizona has been one of the leaders in the school choice movement. Yeah. Arizona and Florida really have led the way. Somewhat different paths, which is great, right? Because you get the laboratory that we all wanted to see it become. Democrats cannot stand that, and once again, they're taking a run at killing the program at the ballot. Can you tell folks what that is? Because if they're successful here, this is going to be a model for them to take this to other states and knock down the school choice movement.
Yeah. To your point, Sam, they the progressive left use Arizona as the premier school choice state. We are very open access, universal, 103,000 students, just to set the stage.
How many now?
103,000 students, which is a little less than 10% of our K-12 student population.
What was it 10 years ago?
10 years ago, it was 12.
Okay.
So it has grown tremendously. Parents want options. There's 2 attempts right now, very different ways, but 2 attempts that I believe would severely disrupt our ESA program. The main one from our good friends, the NEA and the out-of-state special interests, the same people that wanted to lock our kids out of school and mask them and all that fun stuff. They want to kick anyone that makes over $150,000, which, just to remind folks, that in Arizona, the average nurse and firefighter married make more than $150,000, no matter how many kids you have. You have one.
I will make one point on that, though, which I agree. It's the point is that tells me they've done polling. The fact that now that they're doing the cutoff is 150 versus when I first started school choice when you were in high school, it was like we were saying like anybody who makes $60,000 or less. So that really tells you one thing they looked at, because this whole initiative is based on polling.
Of course.
Right? And so that really does tell me the school choice site has made some real gains on public perception here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, majority of Arizonans support school choice. It's well into the 60s across political spectrum. So they want to kick those kids. They want to take scholarship money that has been given to children, even children with disabilities, and those parents that save year over year, because as you can imagine, a student with a special need has additional therapies in certain years. They want to take that scholarship money away and completely change the way that we offer payments and what curriculum, what is approved or not approved. And so the bottom line is tens of thousands of kids would get kicked off. And I believe it's not just about they want to go after school choice. They want to go after parental rights. We know that right now parental rights is the hottest topic in our nation. And who is winning? We are winning. The Republicans are winning. And so the left has to do anything in their power. And so we're worried. There's a very robust campaign to push back against them, whether it's decline to sign, whether it's preparing to potential legal, whether it's to be able to beat them at the ballot box. And I'm confident we can. And so they are going to use Arizona as to try to put a blueprint to say, okay, now we're going to go after other states' programs, because all eyes are always on Arizona and our program here.
So how much out-of-state money's come in to help the Arizona Education Association push this?
Out of their $4.5 million, $4.45 million, Chuck.
And
so essentially all of it.
And of course, our media is not covering these out-of-state interlopers at all.
Never.
No.
No, well, I mean, why would they? They're focusing on the...
Sydney, let's make sure we post every day on our, just that stat. Every day. Okay? Let's just post it.
Chuck, speaking of stats, I just looked up something. We're getting old, pal. We're getting old. Do you know what the rate of inflation since that
I'm not
first?
getting old. I'm doing red light therapy. I'm not getting
Your
old.
your 60,000 from when they started is now 130,000.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, still my point is you could not have done this. They would have not done 10 years ago, six digits.
No.
So that's a credit to people like George who have worked diligently on this. Now, we need to get our school choice groups from out of state to get their butts in here and stop making excuses, which they do all the time.
Look, I've never seen, though, I've worked on a lot of campaigns, as you all know. We all have. I've never seen the energy from non-political people. Because what happens, we all know this, right? What happens when you poke a mom or a dad with their kids and their kids' future? We have thousands of people around our state actually doing stuff, not just like, oh, whatever. Some of the stuff is online, some of it's in person, some of it's in their own way, and they're painting their cars and they're holding signs. But I've never seen so much animation, and I especially love to see it from people that I don't see at legislative district meetings and Republican clubs. They are also active. We have a lot of people that never get involved in politics.
Well, this is personal.
Of course it is.
So how many people get in our school choice now?
103,000 just on the ESAs.
So on the ESAs. That doesn't count charter schools. That doesn't count the alternatives that are out there
and
also.
Tax credits and homeschool.
Right.
Human resource studies say everybody has 5 close friends or you have a circle of 15 people. Well, that's up to 500,000 people to 1 million people who are directly affected or know somebody directly affected to this. If they just go and work together on that and then tell other people, you can defeat this.
100%. I mean, we're close to about half of our students either in charter, in private, on the Empowerment Scholarship account, on a tax credit, homeschool, because that's technically a different designation, or open enroll. So they move between district schools.
Right.
About half, if not slightly more than half, of students don't go to their own public school. Imagine that. And we are the highest in the nation, which is, again, why they want to come after a parent's rights to pick the education that best fits their child.
It's going to be, what do you see happening? I guess we have only 2.5 minutes left. Yeah. You know this stuff better than anybody. What do you see happening in this fight? And what do you see happening with the legislature overall.
Yeah, in general, I am confident Republicans can win, but two main things has to happen, right? And this is not, George isn't being Pollyanna and naive. This is why I'm making this calculation. One, there's 330,000 Republicans that vote in presidentials, not in midterm elections, meaning they vote when, especially now, President Trump's on the ticket, but they don't vote when he's not on the ticket. We need as many of them as possible to vote. And two, look, independents are independents for a reason. We need to more than hold our own. And we are able to, no matter what the national dynamics are, we have to cut through the noise, which we have shown we are able to do, and a lot of our candidates are. We do those two things, we win. Why? Because 4 years ago in the midterm, Republicans had an advantage of 3.5% registration, so 3.5% more Republicans than Democrats. That advantage is now 7.4%. So we are numerically much stronger than we were 4 years ago. And so as long as Republicans vote, and as long as we hold our own, and I say that very specifically, hold our own with independents, we can win statewide. And the legislature, we've made gains in all of these swing districts. So we're in a good position. Those that say, oh my gosh, the sky's falling, guys, we've heard that how many times? So we've heard that. We've debated it every year. The sky was falling every year for the last 3 cycles. We were supposed to lose the legislature. And this last year, not only did we not lose it, we grew. So it's, we just have the same kind of Stuart Little, the sky is falling mentality. We can get there, but we have to do the work. This isn't we can get there because we sit on our hands and we hope and dream. So
how do people volunteer to help defeat this Teachers Union initiative?
So go to azlovesesas.com. azlovesesas.com. You can sign up. You can get our emails. We're very active on social media. It's just that AZ Loves ESAs on all the platforms. We put out lots of content. Look, messaging is key. We talked about it for my campaign. I mean, if we don't get the word out, people will never know about it. I know that's a shocker.
And there's going to be millions spent by the other side.
And quickly, what's your website for campaign?
George Khalaf, KHALAF.com.
A good Irish name.
Thank you so much, George Khalaf. We look forward to having you in the legislature here. I think we all know you'll be a fantastic addition.
Thank you.
Breaking Battlegrounds coming back in just a moment.